welcome back to my channel today. So today's video is going to be a makeup tutorial that's solely meant for beginners. Well, I mean, anyone can do this tutorial, but it's meant to really explain the process of face makeup for beginners. So this is part 1 of 2 in this series, and I'm doing only face makeup in this one, and I'm going to be talking about eyeshadow beginner tips in the next video, so be sure to be on the lookout for that. So if you want to see and learn some of the tips from me, then just keep on watching. It's really important to moisturize your skin on a daily basis. I already moisturized. I did use my Clinique moisturizer. Very good moisturizer. This is for dry skin. Definitely use a moisturizer even if you have oily skin. Just find one that's meant for oily skin and move on with your life. So I did moisturize. Now it's important that you wait a little bit so that your skin soaks up the moisturizer. I tend to wait about half an hour, maybe even more. I did wait a while. I did moisturize about half an hour ago. My skin has soaked it up pretty well. It still feels a little sticky, but whatever, we're moving on. I think personally it's really important to use a primer. There are a lot of people that don't agree with me. They think primer is unnecessary. I have really big pores in here, in this area, and if I wear a foundation, especially a matte one, with my dry skin, it not only cracks, but it seeps into my pores, and you can see on my pores, and it doesn't look very flattering. There is a really good primer that I can recommend, and it is the Smashbox Photofinish Foundation Primer. I only have a tiny sample, and this is as much as I've used so far, and I really like it. It is oil-free, so if you have oily skin, this will work for you. But I think that it really blurs out your complexion, and it also leaves you a really nice blank canvas to work with your foundation. So that's the one I'm going to go ahead and use today. Now that your skin is nice and primed, you want to go in with a foundation. Some great drugstore foundations are from the brand Rimmel. I have the Rimmel Wake Me Up foundation and the Rimmel Match Perfection foundation, as well as the Rimmel Lasting Finish 25-Hour Skin Perfecting Full Coverage Foundation, which is the one I'm going to use today. If you don't like a full coverage, I definitely recommend going with a BB cream of some sort. I personally do like to cake my face up, but that's just me. If you're a beginner, you definitely want to start with a lighter coverage foundation. I definitely recommend the Match Perfection. It's light coverage, but you can build it up to medium, and if you are a beginner, building it up is pretty easy, but you don't want to start off with a foundation that's super heavy. Although this foundation is very good. It feels lightweight, but it is really good coverage, which is what I'm going to use today. I highly recommend using a sponge of some sort. Every time I use a brush, I get streaky application. That's just me. I remember when I was a beginner, I used a brush and my makeup just never really looked that good, and then I started using a sponge, and even as an advanced makeup person now, I definitely use a sponge. It just gives you the most flawless application, and it takes away the excess, so you're not caking up your face too much. This is the Real Techniques sponge, and I really recommend it. It's super affordable. It comes in a pack of 2 for like $10, I think. Very affordable. It's a great alternative to the Beauty Blender, which I also have here. I'm going to be using this sponge today so you guys can see how it applies, but I really recommend the Beauty Blender over everything, but not everyone feels comfortable paying $20 for a sponge, which I definitely understand. But the sponge does just fine. I put it directly on the sponge. Try not to apply too much. This is probably all you're going to need for your entire face, especially because you want just a light layer. I start on the areas that need the most coverage. I definitely recommend starting in the center of your face, because that's usually the area you need the most coverage, and then working your way outward. And then you want to pat it in. I recommend patting it in versus, swirling it, whatever you call this. And that gives you the most flawless application. You definitely want to make sure you blend down your neck, especially if you buy a foundation color that's not really your color. The way you want to test your foundation on whether it's your right color is putting it right on your chest. Just taking like a little streak of it, putting it right there, and if it's darker than your chest, then you do not want to use it. If it's lighter than your chest, then you also want to be careful, but going lighter is a little bit easier to fix because you can bronze your skin really well. Going darker, you can't really fix that. You can see this Wake Me Up foundation is so much darker than than the other two. This is the lasting finish, this is the match perfection, and this is the wake me up. So that's how you test whether your foundation is the correct color or not. The next thing you want to do is conceal. Now you need to look around, and if you have discoloration, if you have under eye circles, if you have some blemishes you want to cover up, you want to assess what you want to do. If you want to cover up your blemishes, I highly recommend a concealer that is your skin tone and not lighter. If you use a concealer that is lighter, then you're just going to bring attention to what you want to cover. Now for this, I tend to go with a creamier concealer. I don't recommend using a creamy concealer under the eyes. I'm going to go ahead and cover some blemishes and discoloration I have throughout my face using the Bobbi Brown creamy concealer. I'm using a Sigma E60 brush to do so. I'm just gonna place it over the blemishes that I have here. This is actually a little lighter than I remember it being, but if you go ahead and blend it with your beauty blender, that should work even more. And I actually take a little bit more foundation and just put it over top of what I just did, just to even further give it more coverage. I tend to put some concealer under here because I also get really red under. Now for the under eye, you really want to brighten this area. That way it contrasts with your face and it just gives your face more dimension. Two of my favorite drugstore concealers are the LA Girl Pro Conceal, but this is really light coverage. So if you're a light coverage kind of gal, this will be for you. Not so much for me. I do use it sometimes, but I always use the Maybelline Age Rewind Dark Circle Eraser because it gets rid of all the dark circles. And then you want to definitely concentrate this in a triangle shape right under your eye. You want to definitely get some in this inner corner as well. It will give a lot of dimension to your face. And then you also want to get the middle of your face. So I kind of do this like Indian stripe thing. Bring it down my nose and here as well. And once again, you don't want to swish your blender. You want to pat it under your eye. And while I'm at it, I go ahead and prime my eyelids with the excess. That way you can get rid of any discoloration you have on your eyelids and you can make it look a bit more concealed and whatnot. You can already see my face has a lot more dimension and it just looks a little bit less flat. What you want to do right away is set everything. Otherwise it'll start creasing and then it'll come off in like an hour. I love this palette from Wet n Wild. It's the contour palette. You get a powder shade and a contour shade. You want to take some sort of angled brush. This is from Sigma. It's the F35 brush and you want to tap it in here, tap out the excess and pat it under your eye. Never swishing because then you're just moving products around. And then you might as well set what's on top of your eye as well. And you want to set everything here, basically everywhere you put the concealer. And if you're like me and you want your makeup to last all day, I'd highly recommend setting the rest of your face. I love to set my face with the Maybelline Fit Me powder. If you like extra coverage, you want to use a more dense brush. Usually I'll use my Real Techniques buffing brush because that gives me extra coverage and I pat it in like this. But if you just want a light dusting of powder, this is a great one from Morphe. This is the MB1 and it's very fluffy, so it'll just give you like a light dusting around your face. You can do that, or you can pat it in with a more dense brush, which I prefer to do because then it doesn't move your foundation and it actually gives you a bit of extra coverage. Don't forget to get anything you blended on your neck as well. Otherwise, it'll flake off. After this, I like to contour and I love using this, again, set. It's very good. I used to use this brush to contour. This is the NARS Ita and it's very flat and it gives you a very sharp contour. It depends on what you like. If you like that, then by all means go for it. But I've started using a more fluffy brush, like a round fluffy brush. That way it gives me a bit more like diffused contour, and you tap it in and you tap off the excess. Basically, you kind of want to hold your brush from your ear to your lip. This area right here is where you want to contour. There's like a little space between your cheekbone and your jaw, and that's the area you want to get. I start probably around the middle of my ear and I bring it this way. You don't want to take too much product because then you could look muddy. You want to blend it a bit upwards as well, and you want it to kind of meet with your forehead. If you have a 5 head like I do, you definitely want to contour because then it'll make your forehead appear smaller. Start on the sides, on both sides here, and then blend really, really well. Diffuse it toward the middle and diffuse it down. And this could take some time. Sometimes I'm sitting here like blending out my contour for like a year, it feels like. Then if you're like me and you want that extra chisel, like sometimes I do, you want to take a powder and just put it under just to like make it extra sharp. I take a blender and I take this color right here. Just like sweep it and then pat it in. And then you just want to wipe it away. I tend to go for highlighter next, but if you like bronzing, I'm just going to show you how I would bronze. This is the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer. It smells like summer. I love the smell. You want to take a fluffy brush. You can use the same one you use for powder, but I'm going to use a different one. This basically goes over top your contour. That way, it just gives you extra bronzy glow. Sometimes I like to feel a little bit extra bronzy and glowy. And sometimes I bring the bronzer down here as well. And now it's time for highlighter. You want to feel where your bone is, your cheekbone is. Definitely right under your eye, and it's like definitely you'll feel the bone. That's where your highlight goes. I recommend not pulling your highlight too far. I stop around here, like halfway through my cheek. Today I'm using the Smashbox Casey Holmes highlighter. A really affordable brush that I love to use for highlight is the Real Techniques setting brush. I think it's meant to be for under eye setting, but I use it for this. But I'm gonna just take this middle shade right here, and you wanna take a light hand first, and you wanna feel where your bone is again, and that's kind of where your highlight goes. Again, you don't want to bring it too far down. You don't want to bring it too far this way either and too far close to your eye, because then you will look really strange. That's the first layer, and I'm really going to blend this out, and I'm using the tip of this brush like right here. You don't want to use it like this because then it's going to get all over where you put your bronzer and your contour. Then you want to bring it up a bit as well so that it kind of meets with your brow bone highlight if you have one. And then I also like to highlight down the center of my nose. And here you want to be careful because it's really easy to look like you're just really sweaty instead of glowy. I also like to highlight my chin and my cupid's bow area, but I just take whatever's left on the brush. I never dunk it back in. The reason I like to save blush for like the last part of the face is because I've felt in the past where I do contour, then blush, then highlight. The highlight just sticks out and I never get to blend it quite as well as I could if I do it before blush. So for blush today, I'm using the Milani blush in the shade Dolce Pink. It's a beautiful drugstore blush. Lately, I've been loving using this e.l.f. brush. It was my last favorites because I used to use like a really tiny brush, like the contour brush that I used, or is it this one, where it's like just a little bit fluffy and then it wouldn't blend out as well. I just feel like this brush fits my face shape really, really well. And that therefore I just love to use it. You want to make sure you're going over the contour but you're not covering it too much, so you still see a bit of your contour coming through, and then you need to leave your highlight as well, but that the blush just diffuses really nicely into the contour and the highlight. And then you want to set your face really, really well. This is the NYX Dewy Finish Long Lasting Setting Spray, and you want to have it about 4 to 5 inches away from you and close your eyes and then spray. This will help ensure that your makeup lasts all day, so I highly recommend using a setting spray. So that's it for this video. I really, really hope you enjoyed it. I really hope I helped some of you beginner makeup lovers out there. And be sure to be on the lookout for part 2, which is where I'm going to talk about beginning eyeshadow tips. And that should be the next video that I upload. So if you want to see that, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe so you don't miss out on it. And when you're down there, hit that notification bell to be notified for that upload and all future uploads. So yeah, I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!